Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Patrick Stelmach. I'm the state organizer for California Fair Share. Joining us today, we are today at the California Alliance of Retired Americans Annual Conference. Speaking on behalf of CARA will be Ms. Fran Smith. Then we'll have Assembly Member Roger Dickinson from the 7th District. Then Sheila Allen of the Yolo Healthy Aging Alliance. Lori True from the California WIC Association. And then rounding us out will be Pastor Rob Robbins from SEIU, ULTCW, the Home Care Workers. California Fair Share is a grassroots field and advocacy group working to provide every American with a fair shot, make sure that everyone pays their fair share, and that everybody plays by the same set of rules. For the first time in 17 years, a shutdown of the federal government is now a reality. This is a matter of grave concern. House Republicans are willing to risk delaying new Social Security benefits and student loans, military pay and other government services, all in the name of refighting a battle they lost 3 years ago. This is the 42nd time this group of representatives in Washington has played political games in order to take down healthcare reform. And this time they are risking the economic health and security of our entire country. Enough already. Because of the shutdown, millions of working Californians could be affected. California is home to 685,000 small businesses, and the shutdown will delay financial support for them. Last year, the Small Business Administration's flagship 7A and 504 loan programs approved 54,000 applications and supported 570,000 jobs. That's roughly 1,000 applications a week. A shutdown would put a stop to this financial support for our crucial small businesses until the government resumes operations. 169,000 federal employees in California could be sent home without pay through absolutely no fault of their own. Federal employees across the country will potentially be furloughed in the coming days. These workers may receive reductions in their pay from the time they were forced to stay home because the government is shuttered. Social Security checks for new seniors and veteran benefits could be delayed. And again, it is not seniors or those who risk their lives for our country who brought us to this tragic juncture. Let there be no mistake. None. A government shutdown will hurt middle-class families and small businesses and threaten our fragile economic recovery. Republicans need to stop their grandstanding on Obamacare and pass a clean resolution that protects our families and our jobs. The job of Congress is to make government work better for the people, not to stop it from working. It is simply unconscionable that we have gotten to this point. Now I'd like to introduce Ms. Fran Smith, the California Alliance of Retired Americans.
Yay!
Good morning. I'm very pleased to speak on behalf of the California Alliance for Retired Americans, but I'm sorry that we have to stand up one more time. We have to stand up one more time and say stop messing with seniors and people with disabilities. CARA's number one priority for many years has been protecting Social Security. If I make no other point but the fact that Social Security is not paid by the taxpayers, it's paid by the beneficiaries over the years. They pay into a trust fund. It has no business being up for grabs. Social Security has been the number one priority. Then we had to focus on the sequester cuts. I'm from Yolo County. I know what the sequester cuts, even though the people who approved it said, oh, it's not much, it's not gonna cause much damage. There are people in Yolo County who depend on Meals on Wheels for their nutrition. They not only get home delivered meals because they can't go out, there are people who go to congregate meals because they can't cook for themselves. Senior legal services has been cut. That means some percent, small percent, it says at Congress, but it's affecting hundreds of people who can't get the legal resources they need when their landlords are abusive or don't repair, when they need help getting the medical services that they already deserve. Meals on Wheels, legal services, and help me, Sheila, I forgot the third one.
Home repairs.
Home repairs, home modifications to keep people in their own homes. So the sequester cuts are hurting people. And now we have the shutdown, which which was orchestrated by a small group of ideologues who don't seem to know that their actions are hurting real people. These are not numbers on a chart, these are real people. Patrick just mentioned the thousands of people in California on the federal payroll who are not going to get a check. Nancy just tells me about her granddaughter who worked her way through college, is working for the Forest Service, and is not going to get a paycheck. So Nancy, who is herself retired, is going to help her granddaughter get through until we get another paycheck. I live with my own granddaughter who tells me that I'm old school. I'm proud to be old school. I am of the school that believes America takes care of people who can't take care of themselves. I also believe in the golden rule. I think these ideologues, I must say I'm old school in that I taught kindergarten many, many years ago. And when children threw a tantrum because they didn't get their own way and were disturbing the rest of the class, my job was to put them in timeout. I think it's time for that for some people in Congress.
Yay!
Next, I'd like to introduce Assembly Member Roger Dickinson.
Thanks, Patrick. I'm proud to be here this morning with those who are willing to stand up and speak out about what has happened outrageously in Washington over the last several days, leading to a shutdown of the federal government, the effects of which we're just beginning to see. But we should be very clear about what's happening here, because this shutdown of the federal government has nothing to do with health care in America. Let me say that again. It has nothing to do with health care in America. We know that a small fraction of the minority party in one house of Congress has decided not just to hold the rest of their fellow members of Congress hostage, not just the President of the United States hostage, but all of us as Americans hostage to their view of the world. And if it wasn't the Affordable Care Act implementation that we were talking about today, it would be something else. It would be the Keystone Pipeline. It would be corporate tax breaks. It would be any of a laundry list of items that this small fraction of people in Congress think the rest of us ought to adopt as our way of life in America. Well, we have rejected it. We have rejected it. We re-elected President Obama last fall. We elected a Congress that has a Democratic Senate and a minority of those in the House who are Republicans, who are now trying to control the rest of the life for all of us as Americans. Now, what does it mean to allow this to go on? It means, as it has been alluded to, a huge economic impact. Here in the Sacramento region, we have about 12,000 federal employees. Those are members of families who shop, who eat out, who buy appliances, who buy cars, who buy homes, all of which now is going to stop, at least for as long as this shutdown occurs. And that means that not only those families are affected, but all of those who do business with those families. We saw the effects of furloughs when state employees were furloughed by Governor Schwarzenegger. And we lost over 2,000 private sector jobs in Sacramento County, in addition to the damage that was suffered by those state employees who lost as much as 30% of their household income if there were two earners in that household. What we need to be absolutely steadfast about in this case is making sure that we do not negotiate with those who cannot take yes for an answer. Because they are getting what they asked for in the continuing resolution in terms of what the federal government would spend in a year. They're getting what they asked for. So now they're asking for more. And to negotiate with this kind of approach means there will always be something else they're asking for.
Yes.
President Obama is absolutely right. To negotiate now with these unreasonable, outrageous demands only means that not only will he as president be subject, as will all of us as Americans, to the same kind of behavior the next time, for example with the debt ceiling, issue that's coming up in just a couple weeks. But every president from now on will be subject to the same kind of harassment, the same kind of objection, the same kind of unreasonable interference. So we are all here to say it's time for those in Congress who are shutting down our government to understand that the rest of us, of Americans, will not accept their antics, their tantrums, their unreasonable demands, and it's time for us to restore the federal government to its operating condition, to get on with implementation of the Affordable Care Act, and to proceed with our lives as Americans.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Sheila Allen, who is the Executive Director of the Yolo Healthy Aging Alliance. Maybe we should wait a few minutes for the Go ahead.
Okay. All right, I'm Sheila Allen with the Yolo Healthy Aging Alliance, and I appreciate all of the support of our retired Americans back here.
Yay!
So the Yolo Healthy Aging Alliance would like to point out to everyone, including the electeds in Washington, D.C., that they are also aging. So remember, we are all in this together, and that this is a community effect. So the Yolo Healthy Aging Alliance has as its core mission that we want to be the voice for older adults in Yolo County, and we're going to do that through education. So we are here learning about what the issues are through collaboration, and you can see that is happening. We're working together, and through advocacy. So it is with that lens that I want to talk to you about the imperative to not cut off or slow down the vital programs for seniors, whom are some of the most vulnerable members of our community. The federal programs that support healthy living for seniors are vital for them to be able to remain in their homes. These are not luxury items that I'm talking about, but this is basic programs such as food, shelter, healthcare, and personal assistance. Programs like this are put in place so that we as a society understand that it is important for people to have supports so people can be healthy and be able to stay in the least restrictive environment.